Hey,
What,
hey.
what's up, everybody? Happy Saturday. What's up, brother?
Not too much, you buddy.
Another week has gone by. I worked hard. I didn't play as hard as I wanted to. I look forward to Saturday nights and talk
Right?
about tanks.
I
I
hear
hope
you.
everybody else can understand that.
Yeah, it's been a rough week a little bit myself. I've back to the gym full force again, trying to get back in shape, and it's kicking my ass. Not
Okay,
gonna lie.
shout out to everybody that's going back to the gym 2021 because New Year's passes, January passes, you dedicate, you try to commit, and it's not easy. Everything in life tries to distract you. And shout out to those actually hitting that gym. Shout out to you, Mr. Ryan.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So we're just waiting on our other co-host Sean here. I think he's ready to jump in.
So we're gonna have a really good show tonight. We got David B from O Too Many Fish. I'm a longtime admirer of Dave, and I just want to say the one thing that stuck out about him, and he's in the back room, I'm sure he can hear us. Okay, the Beeves is in effect. Shout out to Beeves.
Hey, Sean.
Sean in the house.
I'm here. I'm still trying to get my computer to work right, but I'm here.
Real time stuff. This is the real deal.
Exactly.
But like I was saying, the one thing that shot out to me, that cried out to me when I started following Mr. B's Oh Too Many Reefs YouTube channel is not only the setup, because many people have large tanks, but as you know, I'm constantly trying to go as close to natural as I can with raising and breeding fish. And he was the first guy that I saw breeding fish, cultivating corals outside the house. And that stuck with me because not too many, if anybody, do I know that have not only had the knowledge to be able to do that, but maintain it long periods. So we can have Dave on tonight. Oh, Too Many Fish. And I look forward to pulling his brain and asking some questions. I hope you guys got your questions ready also.
Exactly.
Pulling his brain. I'm a little terrified by that phrase.
I'm tired, man. Picking his brain. Look, it's beer o'clock, baby. Give me a break.
Plus, he has a little special guest with him too. He's got a really nice parrot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna see a parrot tonight, Sean. Another one since you went to see what?
Okay, Eric. Eric Morissette talking about, I better be dancing. I'll dance if you dance. There's no shame in my game. I got rhythm. I got rhythm.
I don't.
Rob made it. What's up, Rob? Rob is always in the house. Good evening, Mark.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
You know what? I'm gonna make a statement. Mark, Rob, all you guys, I want to see the updates on those tanks. I want to see some pictures because you guys have been working on some stuff like mad scientists. So I want to see some pictures in the Reef Club.
Eric says you want to have a dance off.
I'll have a dance off. That can be a show all by itself.
Right?
What do you mean?
That's a terrifying thought.
What do you mean?
I lose already.
What's up, Brock?
So we should get David in here.
Let's bring Dave in. Dave B. Oh, Too Many Fish.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Look at this colorful counterpart there.
Yeah. See that awesome parrot? What's his name?
This is Mordecai, Mort for short.
Oh, okay.
Harlequin macaw, and he turns 32 at the end of this year.
Wow.
So he's outlived all my fish at this point.
Holy mackerel. He probably knows more about reefing than half of the people out there.
He's an excellent fragger. He gets on top of the tanks when it's warm out and drinks the salt water and will pull corals out and chew on them.
Oh, that's nice. That's a good way to frag.
It's a unique way to frag.
Very unique way. Hey, Sid.
So now, how long have you been keeping saltwater fish? I know you have been keeping fish since childhood, since birth.
I was born with a fish tank in my room, literally. My dad put an Oscar tank in my nursery before I was born. As far as saltwater goes, we had a 40-gallon saltwater tank starting about probably first grade for me.
Wow, okay.
I'm 52 now, so now that goes back to, say, 73, 74. And that stayed as a tropical saltwater tank until my dad killed an Achilles tang in it. And so at that point, we were living on the water here I'm in Los Angeles, Southern California.
Okay.
And we were living on the water in Huntington Beach. So the 40-gallon tank got moved out onto the patio, and it became my tank for catching things off the back of the house and off the dock and the walls and stuff. And so that was my saltwater until second week of college. My parents would not let me have a saltwater tank in the house. I tried once. It lasted for about 2 days. They refused to have saltwater. We had freshwater tanks all over the house, but no saltwater ever again. I went to college. Second week, came home from UC Santa Barbara, and at the time my last year and a half of high school, I was working in a fish store. So came back, picked up a 40-gallon setup, and have never been without a saltwater tank since. That was I don't even know, August of '86.
Wow.
Okay.
So we're up there like fish buddies. I've been keeping them fish since, the late in them 70s.
I had my freshwater tank all the way. In fact, my last freshwater tank was a 60 tall that my parents gave me as a bar mitzvah gift, and that tank is still in my dad's office, filled with live bears today.
Oh,
so,
okay.
There's always a freshwater tank somewhere.
Yeah.
So we got Blue Reef asking, how many gallons is the tank behind you?
So the tank behind us is a temporary tank. We had an emergency at the end of the year where our 400-gallon tank started to have a seam open up on it. Oh. And this was the only tank I could find in 48 hours that would hold everything. Okay. So the tank behind us is a 560-gallon tall tank. It is 10 feet long, 30 inches wide, and 36 awful inches tall. So I hate this tank. I mean, it's beautiful. It's it's by far the prettiest aquarium I've ever owned. Yeah. But the minute I have to try to do something in it, there's a lot of cursing that goes on. And I said, this is a temporary tank with the full permission of my wife. We decided a few years ago we needed to get rid of the 400-gallon and we were going to upgrade. So we took 2 years to remodel the house. We have in the backyard, sitting in a box, an 880-gallon Starfire tank to go in the middle of the house. And all that is the engineering of the stand. Yep. And of the guy who's doing the engineering of the stand, who also helped me move the 560 onto this stand, he got COVID. Oh, no, he recovered from COVID, and then the structural engineer got COVID. Wow. So he's promised me I will have my stand diagram soon, and then we'll be able to start moving forward for that project.
So there's a conspiracy with your tank.
Yeah. And the new tank is going to be 10 foot by 5 foot by 2.5. Wow, so nice. Reach the bottom of it finally.
Yeah, that'll make it for easy maintenance.
So now, if you guys want to go back and check out Dave's previous tank, I think I watch that at least once a day. Like when I'm not feeling good at work and I'm like, look, I need a break. You can actually see the last tank prior to the seams that went. And let me tell you, the dense population of coral growth in that tank was like, I don't know how you navigated that to even cut to remove pieces, because he had pieces growing behind the rock wall, down the glass, and actually protruding to the front of the tank in some cases. So it was a very successful and very, it was prospering.
And this tank behind me, as with the old one, has a live webcam on it 24/7. So people from around the world can tune into it. It's a commercial grade pan tilt zoom high def camera. So you can zoom in with optical zoom to the polyp level and see exactly how many of my corals are RTNing, STNing, or doing really well. So that's entirely up to you. And that's at my website, which is too-many-fish.com. There's nothing for sale. It's just a webcam. You can't buy anything from me. I don't care how cool you think you are. I don't sell anything. I either give it away or trade. But you can try to catch my wife and I walking by in our undies.
Whoa!
Because the camera is on 24/7.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
So now you mentioned a lot of people. We go back and forth. I know Battle was building a deep tank. We looked at his tank because he had the sharks. He had the sharks in there, right?
Yeah.
So now, how? And I know I probably asked this on your page probably 50 times. How much circulation do you have in this tank versus that tank? You had pumps all around that other tank. or did you have a did you have a closed loop?
No, I did not have a closed loop in the other tank. And the reason for that is I've learned a long time ago, the more places you have water going in and out of the tank, the more places it's going to leak. And so the other tank, what I did have on it, well, standard circulation, it originally had a dart return pump. Over the years, I got all the way upgraded to an Abyss. And we will shout out to my buddy Alex at Abyss. Amazing pumps. If you don't have to worry about what your credit card bill is, you buy an Abyss and you'll never think about any other pump ever again.
I got the A400 on my 600.
Yeah,
awesome. And Alex is an awesome dude.
I've got an A200. Alex is awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
That was a return, but that ran the whole system.
Yep.
And inside the tank, another shout out to a great guy in the hobby, Roger Vitko with Tunzi.
Okay,
yeah, Rogers is awesome.
I had 5 or 6 Tunzies hidden in the rockwork.
Nice.
I love the new Tunzi Stream 3s because there's nothing to do on them, and I shoved them in the rock and left them there for 3 years. But breaking down the tank, I had Tunzies that were from 2004 still spinning in that tank. Not as quickly, but still doing their job.
Oh, they're great pumps.
Yeah, in this tank, I don't have the ability to stack the rock like I did in the other.
Right.
So in this tank, we have the Abyss is doing the return. It's doing less of a return because this tank came with only a single 2-inch drain.
Yeah, a single?
Had 3 2-inch drains.
Oh.
And the other thing about the old tank stop was I had a surge tank on it from my second-story balcony. So during the day, about every 90 seconds, it dropped 22 gallons of water in about 7 seconds, which works out to like 24,000 gallons per hour of flow. And that was awesome. And that went on when I started the tank. It went from a Carlson surge device to a motorized ball valve about 10 years ago. And it's still here, and I keep thinking I'll move it to this tank. So this tank has, I think, 3 or 4 Tunzi Stream 3s hidden inside of it. It's got the return pump. And then because I hate seeing equipment, and this is a Peninsula tank, on the back of the overflow, there's a Vectra L2 or L1. Hooked up to what I just got recently, a 1.5-inch Sea Swirl, which is monster. And then hidden at the far end of the tank, underneath the rockwork, is a Vectra M, and it's just blowing up at the surface. So we're not really ideal on the circulation for this tank right now, and there are definitely some corals that are in areas of low circulation, but we were hoping this was going to be like a 90-day tank. And so it was just a question of putting it in there and trying to get circulation while working on the new project. Since that's not going as quickly, I added the Sea Swirl. I've got a few more Tunzi streams that I'll try to shove in there. But most part, we did pretty good. We only really lost in the first 24 hours, maybe 2 corals in the transition over. What was more amazing is my name, Oh Too Many Fish. In the old tank, we had about 130 plus fish. We probably only moved maybe 80 of the fish over, and the rest all transferred over inside rocks and coral. And so, in prepping for shifting, the 400-gallon tank was 5 feet away from the 560, but tried to do everything as easy as possible. So I plumbed up the 560, had them both running at the same time, but we took all the big corals and rocks that were sitting on top of the aquascape and moved them out to the frag tanks in the sump. And the fish went with it. So it was a couple weeks after that I had to drain the 300-gallon sump to get a bunch of my pseudochromis out of there. A pair of flame angels transferred over in one of the stylos. I mean, these are not tiny fish to get lost. Unfortunately, for the last 3 weeks, we were battling some kind of nasty, nasty thing, and we have lost about 50 to 60 fish in the tank behind me.
Wow.
So we still have a lot of fish, but we're waiting for things to chill down on that. We're running ozone directly into the tank, ozone into the skimmer, and I have a giant UV system. But it's one of those things when you have a reef tank, you have a coral population like this, you can't do anything but cross your fingers and kiss the money goodbye. So it's just a sad thing.
And not for nothing, that's a hell of a transition to in the time frame that you made it in. I mean, just the rock alone, we're talking about several 100 pounds of rock. And moving them.
We're talking
1,000,
1,200 pounds of rock.
And you have fish in them. I know I've moved tanks in the past where those wrasse will be in that rock. You won't know. They will be in there. You're talking about angels being in the rock.
We never saw any of the wrasses go across. I have had 10 barnacle blennies. I found 8 of them in the tank, and I never moved a single one over. I mean, just amazing how much stuff went back and forth without being caught.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And even more amazing was after we got all the fish we could catch out of the 400, took all the rock and everything out. So I had my 400-gallon tank, which was 96 by 33 by 28 and a half.
Yep.
If you're wondering about the 28 and a half, that's my armpit to fingertip, so I could reach the bottom of the tank. Because once before I had a 30-inch tall tank, and I didn't like that. 36, hate more. But with nothing in an 8-foot by 33 tank, I still couldn't catch like the last 40 fish. I mean, it was insane.
Cool.
It ended up being coming down 2 nights in a row at 2 a.m. and flashlighting them and then catching them that way. And we got all of them except the last damsel that I hated. And I waited to drain the tank and then moved him out. He's in the sump with the big fish.
Oh, okay.
But I like damsels. Don't take that as this was a bad, ugly damsel.
Yeah, was it?
In the tank behind me, there's still 30-plus damsels, sharkies, stagaces. You got to know which damsel to get. Coupangs and springer eyes are amazing. If you buy a 3-stripe, a 4-stripe, or a domino, that's not a good fish.
I had a domino for 4 years, and that became the meanest fish. The pair of them became the meanest fish I ever saw in a tank. Meaner than Oscars. They would hit my hand like bang, like you felt it.
Yeah.
But I love the fish because the kids get attached to the fish. And then what am I gonna do?
If you watch in the tank behind me along the surface, you will see that there are white mollies and gold leertail mollies in this tank because I love my freshwater fish and my live bears.
Yep.
So I keep mollies in all the tanks, which get more compliments than something like a pair of gold flakes or a pair of joculators. People look at the mollies all the time.
And they love to eat algae too, right?
They look hair algae.
Yeah.
And they're small fish. They get into the corals that the other fish don't get into.
Yeah, it's true.
So they do they're a great asset to have in the tank.
How many do you think you have in your tank?
In this tank, there's probably maybe a dozen, and they're in every single one of the tanks and all the overflows outside.
How is
the
it?
overflow teeth grows a lot of algae, and so I keep them in there.
Okay, how is it acclimating them into a tank?
Well, the proper politically correct way is to host them for 4 or 5 days. And I found that if I do that and I start off with 20, after 5 days, if I still have 17 or 18 in the bucket and I put them in when they're in full salt water, by the end of 8 days, I probably have 4.
Oh,
if
really?
I take 20 and I dump them right into the salt water, at the end of 2 weeks, out of 20, I'll probably have 16.
Really?
So the dump and pray method, much better,
more efficient
for acclimating them.
Really? Okay.
Pop and drop.
For there is.
What's that, D?
Pop and drop.
Pop and drop. That's right.
Pop and drop.
Yeah. Let Jesus take the wheel on that one.
Well, you know what? Between you know, what you think you're acclimating, sometimes the water parameter is really so far different than the water you're getting in that you're not doing what you think you're doing.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's like you said, it's a leap of faith.
Yeah, like I've been wanting to add some mollies to my tank, just never got around to it.
I tell you, I breed them every year.
No, dude.
Yeah, that's right.
In your outdoor ponds, aren't you?
And I raise them saltwater, so I breed them in my separate cube, which I have to switch over now because I usually start in April. Yeah. April is when they start actually coming from their local shippers, and you get the really nice sailfin mollies. But now I'm trying to breed them for color because in the reef, even though you're using them to acclimate or whatever the case, you want pretty fish.
Well, for sure, yeah.
And for some reason, every time I breed them in salt, they come out 2 colors, gray or white. I can't get a black one. Like I can't get the fry to come out black, even with the black parents or a yellow female white parent. Yeah. They come out gray under many conditions, and outside I bred them. Outside they all came out yellow. So I'm working on that science. Now that's another thing. That's another thing that. Yeah, right.
I'm very different color than you.
I can't get a black fish. I'm breeding the white fish. I can't get the black fish to come near me. But now that's one thing that you've managed to breed these you've managed to get some of these fish to breed.
Let's not call it breed. Let's call it spawning.
Spawning. Thank
breed
you.
would mean that you end up with babies.
Yeah,
Spawning means that when they're in a 400 or 500 gallon tank, you're feeding everybody. So it's a spawning.
Eggs for free.
Feeds everything. The fish that we have had breed in the tanks are clownfish and bangais. So you'll see there's a couple bangais that might float by in here. Those are our babies from a year ago. And then if people are watching the videos of the outdoor frag tanks from earlier, all the bangais you see out there have been born in the system in the last 2 years.
So now we did have a question here, which I hope they don't think I jumped over, but someone asked, what's your favorite fish?
It's so you can't have a favorite fish. My favorite fish are things that are just unique. I love the little stupid barnacle bunnies. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this fish, but it lives in a hole. You only ever really see the fish. Yeah. You could put in my last tank, I probably put in 30 or 40 and they all vanish. And then like a year later, you got 20 of them. You just didn't know where they were popping their head out of.
Right.
So if you go to my live webcam, there's actually two different there's preset camera presets. How about that?
Yeah. Yep.
That go to Blenny the Barnacle Blenny and Blenny Jr. So I have two of them that take up a whole rock. And what I really like about them is if you take the time to look at them up close, and the camera does it, but if you have one or look online for the macro shots, they are gorgeous little fish. But they're
when you see them,
as can be. One of the other things that I've really come to enjoy, I don't know. I'm going to turn the camera over here past my wife. I have. You can't. They're clear. You can't even see them. Blue spine cardinal fish.
Okay.
So these are, for lack of better word, these are bleeding heart tetras.
They're beautiful fish.
They're nice.
They're not beautiful. They're neat.
When they get that blue in the eye, like when the light hits them.
But here's a fish that is inexpensive, and you buy 12 of them, and you have a school of 12 fish that cruise around the tank and don't beat up anybody. Don't beat up anybody else. The ones I have now are coming up on about 8 months. About 3 of them, we're at 10 right now. 3 of them are over a year and a half, maybe close to 2 years. And I want to know if they're going to spawn like the bangais do.
Right.
I'd love to see 100 of these guys show up someplace.
Yeah.
So I like those because it's just a neat reaction to seeing the fish. I love my yellow tangs. All the people that berate yellow tangs, you find me a brighter colored fish that's swimming back and forth and eating algae at the same time.
Exactly.
Bitcoin. Fish.
Exactly. And then other fish that are like favorites of mine. One of my favorites is the golden angel. So this thing is, there's a pair of them in the tank. This is the most reclusive fish that I've ever kept. My record is 18 months without seeing one, and then turning out not only did I not see one for 18 months, but I had 3 of them in the tank that I hadn't seen for 18 months. And what's special to me about that fish is I saw the first one ever come into the United States. Okay. And so to me, that's a neat thing. And so I always have golden angels, always have a flame angel. I mean, you can't have a favorite fish. The one that's living the longest is always on the top of my favorite list. And they're just, I'm one of those people, when I see people post online about, I just got this 120 gallon and help me make a stocking list. I'm like, what the heck is wrong with you? You just spent
what's a stocking list?
$5,000 and you don't know what fish you got? I mean, I could have 5 560 gallon tanks and go to the wholesalers twice a week for a year and still not have all the things that I think are cool. Right. And that's why for me, I like little tiny fish. Prior to the disease, the biggest fish in the tank was an Achilles, which is a big fish. But the next step down was, gem tang, black tang, that were relatively medium sized, and then all my other blennies and gobies and clownfish and all the dwarf clowns and things like that. I have a pair of gold flakes, and those are big fish, but I like a tank that has life all over it. I like the tiny wrasses. We're not good with tiny wrasses because the previous tank had an entirely open top. This has a partially enclosed top, which just becomes a expletive bound experience in trying to work in it. So when we get to the next tank, hopefully we'll be able to do wrasses in it because it's gonna have more of a catcher on it. But there's not a favorite fish, you know. I love chevron tangs when they're juveniles. They're gorgeous.
Yeah, then they lose the color.
Always have a chevron. We just lost ours, and I'm devastated because not going to be able to get another one without killing somebody. But it has a unique mouth, different than any of the bristletooth tangs. Yep. And there's a fish that does a job.
Yep.
So that's there. Also, in my favorite list, fish. If you watch the blue tangs, there's 4 in the tank behind me. The 2 smallest ones, they don't have tails. That's cool.
Yeah.
And if you look on my YouTube channel, look for the rabbi tang. That one's outside. I don't know if we can. It's dark here now. I don't know if we can see it. You might see it on the video I posted earlier. That's a sailfin tang that's got a hole right through the middle of it.
Really?
It's like
it's very interesting.
Yeah.
You can literally look through the fish.
We have a purple tang that's entirely blind. We have the pirate tang, which is a yellow tang missing an eyeball. I've got a zebra angel that's missing an eyeball. We've got a couple other fish that are missing eyes. The mature male flameback in the tank behind me. Yeah. One of his eyes looked like someone squished it, and he's got like a cat.
Really?
So, and my wife is really good that if we go any place where
I was going to say
fish, she says, get it.
I was going to say, like, you go there and like pick them all out or something. It sounds like you have quite the selection.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
My very supportive wife, Barbara.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the one who feel bad when the fish have something.
Yeah.
Come on, bring them home.
Bring them home. Give them a good life, right?
Yep.
Behind every fish keeper, there's a super supportive wife because who else would put up with us? So now, go ahead.
Oh, I had fish growing up, so I love fish.
Match made in heaven.
Perfect fit.
So now you sent
it's always handy.
You sent us some footage, Dave. Now,
I can
tell us about the footage.
So the footage is just a couple minutes of the outdoor frag tanks from this afternoon.
Okay.
They're not super. I mean, to me, they're not super impressive right now. We're coming right out. We're not into spring yet. Okay. So we're coming out of the period of the year we have the least amount of sunlight, and it's also the farthest south for where I live. And so the corals get the least amount of light, and we also, no matter what we do, we have the most amount of shift in temperature. So the colors in the video of the coral, you're going to sit there and go, oh, he's got an outdoor corals, and most of them look brown. I'm going to, while you guys run the video, I'm going to unplug the laptop and take it outside and see. We do have LED lights over the tank just at night for basically allowing me to go work and clean and see what it is. Also, the tank shift was on Christmas Eve. And since then, we've had crappy weather and I've had stuff going on. So the frag tanks are a mess because every piece of thing that was alive, I took it out of the old tank and handed it to my wife or somebody else and said, dump it in tank 1, dump it in tank 2. Also, I think last week you guys had Andrew Sandler on.
Yeah.
I'm holding on to like 3 corals for him for like 4 months.
He's building that new system. He's working on the new system.
His test tanks for all the corals.
I talked to him right before the holidays.
Did you?
And his quarantine system was ready.
Yeah.
Now he's got it, and we're trying to coordinate with some another person who's got some giant leathers for him. So we just ship all these at once.
Oh,
so
nice.
One of the frag tanks outside are 8x3. One of them, a third of the tank is dedicated to 2 pieces for Andrew.
Nice.
So if you guys want to run that video, I'll go outside and we'll see if we can see anything tonight. And if it doesn't works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. You also get to see the filter wall is in the video for a minute or two. It's because I haven't touched it in like 4 months. It's just sitting out there, but it keeps everything alive. So you get to the video, and I'll
too
go
many
outside.
fish, and it is
I
don't even know, March 27th, and we're gonna be doing a live stream tonight with the Reef Collective. And they wanted some videos in case it's too dark to show off the outdoor frag tanks.
Yeah, do you want to put them away?
And so here's our outdoor frag tanks. I'm lazy. I haven't cleaned up the tanks much or around the tanks. So try to get you a shot of some of the corals in there. Big Acropora florida right there. You see Dippin' Dots right there. A bunch of torque pieces. We're just coming into season right now, spring, where the colors are going to go crazy on the stuff. So I know it's not super impressive right now, but also realize that it's afternoon. In another hour or so, hopefully when we're doing the live stream, we will have some natural actinic light out here, and you get to see some of the colors. Fish look good, don't they? Great big long spiny urchin here. Paletta pink tip. That is Tyrese purple petals. Check out this massive colony over here. Sanjo purple stylophora. Okay.
Wow.
Pull back. That's my fist. That thing weighs
That
so
thing's
much. It might
He
end
has
up at
a
Andrew Sandler's
big
house.
colonies
This
in
big
there.
blue beautiful stag. And let's see, this should work on this one.
If you're looking for yellow
You
tangs,
can see the purple tips on that. And again, that's turquoise and purple without any actinic lighting. This big monster colony is
Those are
going to
huge.
Andrew Sandler in the next couple weeks.
The clarity of the water.
right?
And a little multi-bar in there, nice and happy. Grafted Montes, purple
That's
petals.
cool having that outside.
Purple petals, more grafted. Bunch more stags. Pull back and show you from this side. And then our dirty filter wall. So it definitely needs a little cleanup, but doesn't it always? So we're measuring our TDS in after the pre-filters, or before the resin and after the resin. You can see we hit 0 after our resin. This big monster down here is our RO system. Here's our membrane. Behind here is a pair of two 24-inch DIs. This is our auto flush box that flushes out the first 5 minutes of water. This keeps track of the level of water in our sump. You can read the different levels that are there. This is one of our EB832s. There's an inside look at our 220 volt control box. And there's the outside look. We got some jumbo solid state contactors, and now the box won't close, so I gotta fix that. Another EB8 there. This dirty thing is our fluidized sand filter, which I absolutely love. And down here, dirty side of the sump. Our big monster fish in the sump. This guy, oh, he's looking really good right now. If I get there, yeah, he's not gonna flash us his stripes anymore. Got some purple tangs. There's the gem tang that was in the display tank. He moved out here. He needs to get moved to a different tank because somebody's picking on him out here. His fins are a little tattered. I'm guessing it's the purples, because those purples got moved out of the display tank as well. Here's the top of the sump. The bangais in here are our baby bangais. There's our chubby fish. Stupid reflection. Top down on him. Here's our clown and anemone tank, and the anemones are just spreading like crazy. Clownfish.
Patty would like
Okay.
those.
And here's the other side of the frag tank. Get my finger out of there, sorry about that. So, a lot of coral. Another month, these videos will be much better once we get more sunlight out here. But
And the
it's
seasonal
coming.
change is really interesting too.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was a cool video.
The tanks are really impressive.
Very.
But the funny thing is, I think, okay, you get a coral in, let's say, pre-springtime, it has one color, you frag it up.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a completely different coral, like once that season passes and goes into that different phase of the sun, the moon.
Exactly. So now he's outside. He's out.
Yeah,
This is live. Gives you a little bit better idea of some of the colors.
the top down is awesome.
Yeah. So this is our grafted Montes, our Tyree purple petals, green Monty, Kelly green Samacora, big piece of worldwide corals, slime ball Anacorpora in there.
Yep.
There's the Sanjo purple stylophora. that.
Is this the stuff?
right
Is
there.
this the stuff that's going into Andrew's tank?
Andrew's getting this giant stag here. He might
Okay.
get the stylo, and then what I've had for probably 6 or 7 years
Yeah.
in the old tank was 2 feet across, a metallic red Monty, which is the piece in the corner, and then you might end up with some of the bigger pieces of over here.
Is that stag growing out of the water?
It looks like he cut it
Yes
a dozen
and no.
times.
It was too big to actually fit in the tank.
Okay.
So we had to sacrifice one of the top inches of 2 of the branches.
Yeah.
But it's mushrooming out.
Yeah.
The part that's reached the surface now.
Okay. Okay.
And that is so amazing.
And now we're back inside.
So now the viewers had like 50 questions.
Okay.
Because I'm looking at them. The first and foremost was, I know you have supplemental
What do
lighting
you do when it's
over.
raining? Isn't
That too. That too.
Okay.
That was question number 2.
Okay, so let me do question number 2 first, because that's the question I answer the most. You know what I do when it rains? I stay inside. I don't care. They're already wet.
Right.
Instant top off.
What top off's not a problem with all the surface area you saw out there. Even on a day that it rains, we're gonna evaporate out and replace about 20 gallons of water. On a day that's really hot, because we get 110, 100, and now with not global warming, but global weirdness. This past summer, we had 117 and 119 degrees in the backyard. Wow. On those days, we evaporate out and replace with kalkwasser up to 65 gallons a day. So even on a rainy day, we've got so much surface area, we're still putting water back in.
Okay. What about solidity if it's raining?
But it doesn't change because we're evaporating out.
Sure.
So and also, if you take into the amount of surface area, so outside fully exposed, we have 2 3-foot tanks. We have 1,500 gallons of water. I live in LA. What does it take to get an inch of rain? It takes 9 months to get an inch of rain.
Right. True.
It rains all the time at the strip clubs.
Now, what was the other one? The other one was, what is the lighting? Do you use supplemental lighting? And I probably know the answer to this, over the tank during the day, or is that just for nighttime viewing? Like
the lighting that we use just now to see the tank live are like $6 Amazon LED yard lights with
really?
the little RGB controller.
Yeah.
And they're just so at night I can go out and when the weather's a little bit warmer, make sure nothing's fallen over, do some fragging. Also, even having done this for a long time, the corals out there can be a coral that doesn't look like much of anything.
Yeah.
And then at night, under the blues, is just as good as these ones that people are paying silly prices for.
True.
They have names. And for me, it's the really, really cool one in the corner because I hate coral names, which is probably a whole different week of conversation.
You too? I hate coral names.
But yeah, the lighting out there is the cheapest LED that goes blue. That's also weatherproof because the light does get rained on. The tank with the Monteporas in it has 2 of those lights that are probably at 5 years now without having to be replaced. The tank with the Acros, I just literally hooked up the light, hung it about 2 weeks ago, then got lazy and just wired it tonight for this. And then, of course, the timer is off, so it shut off right while I was standing outside. But the lights are purely just so I can use the tanks at night and have people over at night to see what's in there.
Okay. We have another question for you. How do you keep the temps down when it's 115 degrees?
We use evaporative cooling. So previously, I had used geothermal and had a 400-gallon tank buried in the ground, and it was awesome because I used gravity to flow the water through it, and it took care of all my temperature needs. It was great. The problem was finding a tank that you can put underground that can handle a pressure lid was a pain in the butt. So every couple months, I'd have to sit there and refiberglass it because those great big rotational molding tanks that everybody uses for water storage. The top is the manhole cover is a different plastic than the tub itself.
Right.
And there's no adhesive that'll bind those two. And they won't make me one that doesn't have a manhole hole in the top of it because that's a different mold. And so finally, I just said the heck with it. So to keep all of this cool, we use, and let me rephrase that, to keep everything cool up to about 103 degrees, for 1 day or 2 days.
Yep.
We use 4 fans. There's a fan at the end of each. At the end of each. I apologize. I have a brain injury, so it makes remembering stuff really well. At the end of each frag tank, we have a fan that blows the length of it, and then we had 2 over the top of the 400-gallon. I didn't think this tank was going to be here long enough to worry about hot weather, but we're going to have to put a fan on it, or someone actually just gave me an old Deltec evaporative cooler. Shout out to Doug, the original Deltec man, if he's out there. He's probably in a hospital somewhere doing drugs again. Just
yikes.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Showed it.
Shout out to Doug.
Yeah.
No, Doug's a great guy. He's a great guy. Yes,
Deltec's a great brand.
Deltec's good. No,
they've been around a long time.
Eco chiller that might have to throw on this summer. Now, because over the last 2 or 3 years, 103, 104 isn't the highest we get. And now we're seeing temperatures where I live for 4 or 5 days at 112 plus.
Yeah.
But in an automatic, one of those like motorhome shades.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's hooked up to my home automation system. When the temperature, now wait, we'll jump back. With the 3 to 4 fans on at 103 degrees, the whole system maxes out at 81 degrees.
Okay.
And that I'm okay with. And at night, and for people that go, oh, my temperature's got to stay within 0.1 of a degree.
No.
This system, with all the fish happy and healthy, not right now, but going back years and years, the temperature shifts from 76, 77 at night to 81 every day, back and forth, back and forth. Fish are fine. Corals are fine. You can have that variation as long as it's consistent and steady and not outside the normal range. You know, people, you go look every reading that's like, what do you keep a saltwater tank at? 78, 79, 80, 82. Well, keep within that range and you're going to be fine. You don't have to keep a temperature.
Like nature.
Exactly. You know, people go like, oh, yeah, the temperature on the reef is always 80. Well, it's maybe 80 when the tide's coming in, but when the tide's going out, it's going to be a different temperature.
It could be 75.
So we put in a motorized awning, and it's got an outdoor temperature sensor. So if the temperature gets to 100, the awning covers the tanks. And then it's also hooked up to a wind sensor. So if the wind gets over 15, it comes back off the top of it.
Right.
And now
so
Dave builds. Yeah, he builds his own control type systems and does a lot of the modifications himself. A lot of the things you've done with Unique Corals and building their wholesale division included a lot of modification.
Yeah, I did when I started working there, everything was just all the big equipment was just plugged in. And so I built custom 220-box controllers for them that allowed it to be controlled by Apex units and did all the Apex automation there. And then Unique Corals is now building a new facility, and I can't tell you where. It's very far away.
Shout out to Joe C.
Shout out to Joe.
Who's in
Palm Springs having a great wheel? Maybe he's not. Don't know. Anyways, Joe and I are good friends, and I'm doing the technology in his new facility, which is out here in California.
And for my New York people, you know Joe, he's spoke at our club quite a few times, Manhattan Aquariums.
Yeah.
Joe has always been like he's got to change it. Like he's got to modify it and go forward. He likes to do new things.
Yeah, I mean, Joe, you got to thank Joe for bringing Triton to the United States.
He likes to do new things. Yeah.
Joe was one of the first guys to get really push Alex to do more of biz stuff here in the United States. The
testing
stuff.
The testing.
Blaze Illuma Magic. My buddy Anthony, wherever the hell you are in Australia, you son of a bitch.
I actually have a Blaze sitting here that's really too overpowered for the system that I got because I changed my hood and I changed the corals that I had in there. I went to more softies, and this is like a very strong fixture. And my wife's like, okay, what are you going to do with this fixture?
Joe bringing Destaco to the U.S. and making it so you didn't have to buy it from Europe.
Yeah.
And my system runs off a Destaco EXT9, and that to me is just artwork. You know, if you've ever watched a Destaco in person, it's like watching one of those wave machines when I was a kid in the 70s. It goes back and forth. That's what watching a Destaco is.
Well, it's before we had wave makers.
I have a place safe for it, but it is artwork for an aquarium.
Yeah, before we had wave makers, before
Yeah.
kind of the outflow and the tide based system. The closest thing I could relate was a sea swirl at that point, and that was like groundbreaking.
Yeah, we're cool. How are we doing on questions? We only answered a couple.
Yeah, because they were talking about the maintenance involved with keeping that outdoor tank. Like, what's the most complicated part of maintaining that system?
The most complicated part about maintaining that system is cleaning the glass, so when people come over, they can see into it, which is what I did earlier today, so we could see into it. Yep. The system itself is heavily automated. The best example I can give is a little bit over a year ago, my dad had a heart attack, and I walked out the door and I was gone for 10 weeks. In 10 weeks, we had one issue with a heater and we had one issue with a CO2 tank needing to be replaced. But we had no fish losses, no coral losses. 10 weeks, everything thrived. And since then, I've now upgraded the CO2 tank to a 50-pound, which gives me 5 weeks of range. And the system really takes care of itself. It's big stuff. It's designed to run on its own. I am really, really lazy, as everybody is if you've been in the hobby for 30, 40 years. Like I mentioned earlier, I have a degrading brain issue. So I'm working more and more at automating as much as I can so my wife and I can enjoy the hobby as long as we can.
Yep.
All right. Now, this looks like the spot where we're we're way more than halfway through. This is probably a good time for us to work in our little commercial break. So let's have a word from our sponsor.
I belong to you. I belong to you. Do just what you want. You're the one that tries.
And we're back.
That was mighty quick. All right.
Are you back up and running now?
I was going to say, am I actually coming through good now?
Yes.
It looks fabulous.
Fantastic.
Yeah. For a minute, I thought you were going to self-destruct. You were looking a little shaky.
I know.
I'm telling you,
your blood pressure.
Everybody's like, man, he's looking angry tonight. He's looking angry.
Because I was getting pissed off. The joys of technology and rushing and running late and things being funky.
Don't run late and don't rush.
Yeah, but you know what? Here's the thing. So funny you should say that. I was running late for a reason.
Yeah.
You didn't get a ticket, did you?
No. This time it was much better. I got some better stuff. So
is he down?
So a few weeks ago, I ordered a fish trap, right? Because I've just got this pain in the butt wrasse, and I really don't want to tear apart my aquascape and all that stuff and everything.
Yeah.
I ordered a fish trap, and it took a few days to show up. And I was kind of like, I wonder. Let me look into this because I'm curious where these guys are. Because it took like 5 days to get here. I look them up. Turns out they're actually 30 miles south of me. So today, I sold a shotgun. Back in September. I had to go to the gun shop to go pick up the money. It's just with everything that's been going on, I just haven't had a chance to make it down there. Finally went down there today, and turned out that the guy was like, "Oh, you know what? Come swing on by. Come check out the place." So I actually went to Tank Mates.
Okay.
Look at this.
I thought you had
box.
that already. Jeez.
So no. I have one. But this new pretty box. This one actually is.
That's like the one you see in the commercials where the fish swims into it and you pull it and it floats to the top.
Notice all of the wiring though. This is the.
Oh, you got that one.
That looks like a thermal detonator, for Christ's sake.
It's this one. I'm just giving you guys.
Is that remote activated?
Yes.
Activated?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times,
huh?
What does it do? Hypnotize them?
No. You put some food in there and they swim into it and you hit the little button and it just pops off the tank and you catch them in the trap. Saves having to chase them around for hours. Let me tell you, I've used the other one that I have, the one that doesn't have the motor on it and everything.
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely stunning.
Did it work well?
Like, fantastic. Flawless. Went off without a hitch.
Nice.
I can't even imagine how Dave tries to catch a fish in those big systems. He's got to be swimming in the tank.
Plastic trap with the slide glass.
I got one of those.
Old school.
I got an Aquamedic one.
For other animals, apparently Amazon's delivering. If it's a bad fish, I've been known to use a wet dry vac.
A wet dry vac.
Wow.
That's true. That's true.
Look, slurps them right out of there, no problem.
Look, that's
especially when you've got clownfish are the worst.
That's not as bad as me.
Well, look how they stock some of those ponds with fish, right? They put them through the big tube. Same thing.
Hey,
That's where these come in handy.
Hey
So-
Ryan, I'll tell you before PETA attacks me, I had a jewel damsel that I caught biting my coral to the frag plug.
Really?
2 nights in a row. I was there with an ice fishing rod and I hooked him on a piece of shrimp. I had to get him out of there.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
I got him out of there,
Right.
bro.
But if you had one of these, you wouldn't have had that problem.
He wouldn't go in.
He
literally knocked it. I had the sliding trap like Dave had. He literally knocked it over. Like I saw him knock it over. I was like, this person's got it in for me.
Pitch the device until you've made sure it works.
Oh man.
Okay? Because I have this whole world of these pump devices that say they work, but they didn't. So
these things
works, you can.
I'm a fan
You've
of
tried
these.
the other one. You've tried the other one. Eh?
I've tried the other one. So these work. This one's actually kind of like a clear observation type one that works on suction against the glass and everything.
Right.
It's a little dirty right now. I just got it. We were playing with it in the tank. So
really?
I got to clean all this
see
stuff
it?
up.
Can you move it around a little bit? All I can see is the one side of it.
Well, yeah, that's all you really need to see.
It looks like a diver's helmet.
It's just kind of.
Oh no, what is it? No, the
Sticks to
magic
it.
8 ball.
It's got a
Remember those, Dave,
little
the
pump?
magic 8 ball.
It's got a pump.
Yeah, you just create.
That show the pump things I have.
You just create suction with it.
Got
And
it
it
in a
sticks to the
brown
glass.
box.
This thing is awesome. Let me tell you, I'm super excited to use it.
You know we're fish people when we're super excited for like a fish trap.
Right?
We're like, wow, yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you, this thing is awesome. And
That's pretty cool.
You know, I had this wrasse that was just a real pain in the butt and had to use the trap to catch it. And I'm telling you, it's, yeah. Just wait. There's going to be some cool little videos of that.
Can I answer one of the questions that scrolled by?
Yeah.
Which one?
Which one?
Someone asked about, does he have auto feeders for the fish?
Good question.
Okay. So up until a couple years ago, I did not feed my fish much at all. So if my display tank got food all 5 times a year, it was a lot.
Wow.
Because a really healthy reef has enough to feed everybody. It should be producing enough food. All the fish and corals outside, the fish outside, they don't get fed anything at all. Occasionally, if I remember, they'll get a sheet of nori.
Yeah.
If I buy blackworms, they might get a pinch of blackworms for a day or two, but that's it. Those fish are super fat and healthy, and they're eating off the racks. And what has amazed me over the years is that those tanks just have frag racks in them, egg crate. And with all the fish in there, and each of those tanks probably has 30 to 40 fish in it, you can grab a couple frags, turn them over, and they're still covered in pods. And the pods have no place to hide.
Right.
So a healthy reef produces enough to feed everybody. The 400-gallon tank, I did not have an auto feeder until I wanted to start keeping Anthias. And so I do have an auto feeder for putting in flakes and a variety of pellets. And that's only because I like the Anthias.
Yes.
Now you had good experience with the Anthias eating pellets because I tried to get them
Mine
on
eat pellets.
You have what the what is it? P?
The PE.
Well, I have a new food that's specifically for Anthias.
Yeah.
A purple bottle. You guys know which one I'm talking about? I don't know.
That might be the P. They're in a blue. They're in a blue thing, right? Or is that purple?
Mine's in black.
We'll put it under the blue light. It'll be blue no matter what. And they have an Anthias and they have a small fish food. The Aqua Forest.
Okay.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
So this won't be a shout out to them because I paid it for it. Bastards. No. But this is the Anthias Pro food.
We'll beat that.
I'm not seeing the Anthias eat this. However, the small fish food, which is really micro pellets, the Anthias do eat.
Yep.
Okay. And then we have 3 Borbonius in the tank behind me. They eat pretty much anything that they swim into.
Yeah.
So they're machines. And I love feeding blackworms,
Mm-hmm.
live blackworms to the display tank.
Yeah.
Because that's what brings the color out of the fish. If I can get blackworms into that tank for 2 or 3 days, the yellow assessors, they just have crazy red stripes across the back of them. That's when I see the bang guys starting getting ready to spawn. That's when we get like all the angels spawning at the same time of night. Within 15 minutes, just huge boost in everything by feeding live blackworms.
They can see your mollies there on the right hand side.
I love blackworms until I discovered I was allergic to them and bloodworms.
Yeah, that's right. Eh?
I didn't realize it was them giving me the allergy. So once again, that's another show, wearing gloves and protecting yourself, dealing with stuff with the tank. I did it for years and I didn't realize that it was those worms I was feeding giving me the reaction. But yeah, dangerous.
And then somebody asked about what other animals. I have the macaw behind me, Mordecai. We have 2 Brussels Griffons and a Shih Tzu. And then we have a 90-gallon planted live bearer tank. That's all the animals I have right now. In the past, I've had giant sulcatas. I've had an alligator. I've had a couple different kinds of monkeys, a mountain lion. In high school, I raised Queensland groupers big enough that they had to go to Marineland. And there was still one of them alive about 3 years ago.
Really?
That goes back to, those had to be rehomed back in 86. So I love exotic animals.
Okay. What next? So you buy like one of those cats that looks like a tiger?
I'm allergic to cats, but if I had the
Oh.
opportunity to have big cats again, I would love to have a big cat. No more monkeys. No more big birds.
You had a
Sorry.
monkey?
I've had 2 different monkeys.
Holy smokes.
Monkeys are really messy pets.
They are, right?
Yikes.
The only thing cute about them is when they're on TV.
Yeah. And they're dangerous too.
I'm scared
Some
since that like she had pretty much a gorilla ripped her neighbor's face off. That kind
Yeah,
of took
I
me
remember
off
that.
monkeys. That would did it for
She
me.
wasn't that pretty, so it didn't matter.
Oh.
Got to turn everything around.
Yeah.
So now you're waiting for the 10-foot tank to come.
No, the 10-foot tank has been here for 2.5 years. We're
So
waiting
you're
for someone to engineer the stand.
Oh, okay.
The way that, since I don't need, all the equipment is outside, I don't need anything under the tank.
Yeah.
And so we built a soffit in the living room. We raised the roof, put in motorized skylights above the tanks to not only bring in natural sunlight, but vent the humidity out. So the soffit will hold all the ballast for the lights.
Yeah.
Lights will be strung out on 2 arms. And then underneath the tank, I don't need anything. So we're open to do this 10-foot tank on a single post coming out of the ground.
Oh,
And
cool.
what takes the engineering is what size steel does the stand platform need to be?
Yeah.
What size steel needs to be in the post, and then what I call the concrete coffin in the ground. How big of a concrete pad does it need to sit on?
Right.
So where the room it's going into is got a crawl space. So we're going to be opening up the floor, digging a concrete coffin, and then retiling the whole room and having just a single post with this great big tank sticking out on the top of it.
So
Does
you're
that make
telling me
difference?
so you're telling me you're going to do a Sandler special?
No,
I know Andrew did something very
He's not
similar.
sitting on a post.
Well, he
He's
dug
sitting in the middle of
down.
the house.
Yeah, he dug down X amount of feet into that and put that concrete pour down and then went around that.
Yeah, I want to do it so it's balanced. So it's sitting on a.
Okay.
When you walk in, you don't see a tank sitting on a box. You see the tank kind of just hanging out.
Part of the.
Yeah.
Hopefully, so that's
I
what we're
can't
waiting
wait
for
to
the
see
engineers
that.
on.
I can't wait to see that. Man.
Me too.
Oh man. So let me see. We have any other questions floating up in there? I am happy that we got to see the outdoor system because I was afraid people would
Yes,
miss
they're
that
super
whole
feeders.
piece of the puzzle.
I had
Super feeders?
The
Yeah,
super
what-
feeders. They are the best feeders ever. What I love about the super feeders is, one, you can quadruple stack or even add a bulk bin
right.
and be able to have 2 years worth of food, but you can mix all different kinds of food. So
Okay.
with the super feeder, all it is a bin. I mix in like 6 or 7 types of flakes and pellets, as well as sometimes powdered foods like the Benepets or any of the Polyp Lab Reef Booster in the new dry form. I mix that all into the bin, and then the bin, I can adjust how much it feeds each time, and then with a second timer, I can adjust it how many times a day it feeds. So I love the super feeders. I've given them to my dad for his koi pond. I've recommended them to so many people. The other product that I recommend that everybody should have, if you have an RO system, buy a Smart Buddy. That's
A
the
Smart
smartest
Buddy?
thing to do if you're making, it's a little white box. It's on Amazon. It's available through Marine Depot. Buy this. It's under $150. Buy it and watch your production efficiency increase.
What does it do? Is it a pump or
It's like a booster, isn't it?
It's a smart booster pump.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the other magic behind it, but I've seen a 300 gallon per day system with 2 of them go 1-to-2 production ratio from 1 to 7. So if
My
you're in
water
a place
bill
where
would love
water's
that.
expensive, or even not, just stop wasting the water, get one of these and make your system more efficient. There's no maintenance to it. It doesn't make any noise. It hooks up right in the middle of all your stuff. It's all color coordinated. You should have one of those or 2.
That's a good recommendation. I'm gonna have to check that out because I do lose a lot of water to the waste.
Yeah, I see them around. Quite a few people are using them.
It'll increase your production and everything else. And then I interrupted you to answer that question. So what was the question before that I was so rude about interrupting you on?
Robert, he was asking about your outdoor sand fluid filter.
Fluidized sand filter.
Yeah.
These are amazing because you can't overload a tank. Finding one for a smaller system is really difficult. But if you're familiar, a lot of people understand the biological part of filtration. So when we got into reef keeping, we needed much better quality water. We needed better biological filtration. That's why we started off with bioballs. And then we decided bioballs are trapping too much crap. So we're going to just rely on lots of really good porous live rock and that surface area.
Yep.
So, you know, if you've been doing this for a while now, if you've got a 150-gallon tank and you've got 200 pounds of rock in it, biologically you're okay. Which is great if you have a bunch of cute little fish in there that take little tiny poops. But when you're the kind of person that is growing out a flamingo tang or other, especially predatory fish that eat solid things and produce solid things of waste, then that biological filtration, it may be able to handle the fish load, but it can't handle the waste load of the fish doing their constant business. But a fluidized sand filter, basically the equivalent of this much fluidized sand is enough biological filtration to maintain about a 350-gallon tank, okay, of good-sized fish. Because what you're doing is it's ground glass, it's not really sand, but you're fluidizing it, so you're getting 100% surface area. And you're also fluidizing it, so you're taking all the waste through there and processing it. Finding them for consumer use is difficult. There's only a couple companies that make them. Lifeguard makes one, and you look at it and you go, oh, it's a joke. Right. It's not a joke. It requires maintenance. My 5-footer requires maintenance about maybe once or twice a year, and that's only because it's outside. It starts to grow algae on the surface, or it grows aptasia in it. But if you kept it inside where it wasn't getting sunlight, the maintenance on them is maybe every 2 years to skim a little bit of sediment off the top.
Right.
Every public aquarium that you've ever been to is running fluidized sand filters. Every one of your fish stores probably has a fluidized sand filter on their systems because it gives them the ability to have 250 fish come in, dump it into their system, and then not have to sit there and wonder, did my ammonia go up?
Right.
So fluidized sand filters are great for just stabilizing everything out. If you reach a point where you're not using the max potential of it, it's bacteria. It doesn't go up and down. It sits there and waits until there's something to process.
Right.
So look for them. They're really easy to build, but they're complicated if you build them yourself to keep running because you need to keep the channels clear. There's all kinds of different designs on it. Feel free to email me if you have more questions about that. I'm a huge fan of the fluidized sand filters. And if you can find the right one that fits with your size tank, you will never regret it.
I actually had the lifeguard system quite a few years ago, and then they stopped production of that whole modular unit that they used to use with the UV, the fluidized sand filter, and the I think there was a carbon cartridge or something to that extent, which really worked good because it was easy to hide behind the tank. You can move it, you can take it, put a shut off, and then they kind of stopped production on it. So
there was a company in San Diego called Sea Storm that made one that was about the size of a top-off container that could contain 1,000 gallons of fish. And that tells you the size of the efficiency of these things. The one I have is rated for like 3,500 gallons of commercial fish load. How did I get into reefing? I'm a coral addict, so I like pretty things.
Right.
You know, I've always had a fish tank my entire life, you know, from the time I was born forward. And it's just the evolution. So when I went to college, it was saltwater aquariums, and that was right about the first time where mini reefs were becoming popular. Okay. And, you know, it's mini. I like all the tiny fish. I like all the tiny bits of life. So, you know, back in the day, we used to line up to go through boxes of live rock to get things like bryopsis. Oh my God, there's live stuff on the rock.
Right.
Oh, big black gorilla crabs. How cool are they? They're in the rock.
That we lucked out with.
And that type of stuff. So I'm just, you know, I love it.
Nice. All right. Well, we have actually gotten to about an hour here. I know that there are a few people that have been watching that have been waiting on a couple of real quick things here. I promised that I would show some of this stuff off here real quick, and
What
then
you
we'll
got?
kind of wrap this up here a little bit. First one. Okay, so anybody that saw our pictures
the
here,
jump. The jump.
this is the Max Spec jump. Now, don't let the box fool you. Okay.
Yeah.
This is the actual jump light. However, I mean, I'm gonna show you guys here once I get this stupid thing open. I hate these boxes.
The bird just nodded his head. Yeah, that's a joke.
Right?
He said, yeah.
So here's the thing. It is
Small.
just one of the regular jump lights as far as what you can see.
Right.
However, this is not a regular jump light. This is actually a new version of this light that's coming out. They're releasing a blue edition. So this actually has more blue lights in it, or more blue LEDs than the regular ones. So I'm super, super excited to give this one a go.
Nice.
But then this is a very special little thing
Christmas.
here. Okay,
It's like Christmas tonight.
It really is. Okay, so I've been dying to get one of these, and I have been begging and pleading and whining and crying. Everybody saw this box.
Yeah,
what they didn't see is this. So this is the new K1 Nano skimmer, but they've renamed it the Neo. So this is the final version of it.
The ice cap.
Yeah, I haven't even opened this box actually. So you guys are getting to see this the same as I am for the first time here.
I actually looked at that last week.
So
the old version.
This is actually really kind of badass. It's actually smaller.
Look at that thing.
But that one's only rated for what, 20 gallons?
Yeah, it's for your nano tanks and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the new version of it. So I mean, it doesn't have like the final badging on it and all of that stuff. This is just kind of so that I can try it out and kind of see what I like and dislike about it and everything and get some feedback there. But I am super, super excited for this.
I have a new toy to share.
Let's see it.
If you look over this shoulder, I am testing or working with an LED spotlight that gives you shimmer effect.
An LED spotlight.
You can see the shimmer.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said you can see the shimmer.
In that spot.
So it's pretty cool to have shimmer effects in a reef tank again. Since
that's why I was asking you.
Allied. Yeah.
Because I was wondering what light you were running that had the shimmer.
Because you can see that down.
I was testing him. I was going to see what he said.
Pushing it up.
I can't tell you what the light is.
I know you can.
I can show you. That's what it looks like.
Okay.
They made me tape the name over it because people were using the webcam to try to figure out what they are. They're not quite ready to release it yet. But it's punching down 36 inches. It'll do 400 par at 36 inches on the bottom with shimmer. And it'll cover 30 plus inches wide from above the 36-inch tank.
So that 36 inches. Now, what is the power spec on the Max Spec jump, Sean? Because I wanted to ask you that on that.
These ones, they're only like 65 watts.
Okay.
But, I don't know. I'm going to do a bunch of par readings on it, see what it does with the new blue and everything, and I'll let everybody know kind of how that stuff works out in some real world testing. But I just wanted everybody to see this. Like, check this out. This is a pop can in comparison to this thing. Like,
it's like 2 Coke cans tall.
Yeah, it's not even as round as a pop can. Like, this thing is tiny.
If I show you,
Zero, but
I want to show Dave a relic. I want to see if he remembers this relic because someone was asking me.
What is this, show and tell night or what?
It's show and tell night. Now I want to see
if it's.
I'm sure he's been around.
I'm gonna laugh.
No, look at this skimmer, Dave. Does this take you back?
I never had a tank small enough for one of those.
How many years? How many years do you think this skimmer has been around?
Oh, that's 25 years plus.
That's longer than most people have been in the hobby. This skimmer.
I mean, that's definitely an old skimmer.
I ran this skimmer on the 55 gallon that I had in my apartment before I realized, okay, I don't know what the hell I'm doing because there's no way that this was actually going to go into the 125. I tried to move it into the 125 and it flowed over every day. The water literally flowed over that cup every day. Yeah. But we were talking about the equipment and how it's changed in the hobby over the last few years. And it's mind blowing. The LEDs, like Sean's showing you the LEDs. I had compact fluorescence. I think I had 8 compact fluorescence. Remember, Dave, we had 8 compact. That was mind-blowing high technology compact fluorescence.
No, I used to have when Vitalite came out with the fluorescent.
The Vitalite. Yeah, I had those over a 20-gallon tall planter tank.
Yeah. I mean,
And I broke
even making
probably
the jump
3 of
from
them.
incandescent to fluorescent to then taking modified street lights to be able to use halides.
Yeah.
You know, that was a fire waiting to happen. In a couple
And
of
burned the hell out of my arm, I might say. Because they got not hot, they got ridiculously hot.
The
Hot
old
like
school
your
problems.
like your temperature. It's amazing we didn't shatter the glass.
Yeah.
Because you're shooting that heat down on that glass. The water you're cooling at like 78 degrees. You got a light that's probably 112 degrees.
I like the metal halide when I started. I had two 250s on there.
I ran them for 2 days.
Yeah.
And when I burned my arm. I'll never forget. I reached it because we were in and out of tanks.
Yeah.
I burned my arm so bad that I says I can't possibly feel safe with this light over the tank.
Right.
But now, Sean, we're gonna have to have this regular toy corner now. We're gonna have to have toy corner like every week now.
The tickle trunk. The tickle trunk.
There's some really cool stuff that's coming. Just as a heads up for everybody that's watching, I've got some really nifty things in the works that are going to be coming here. Some new releases, some new stuff that I'm going to be able to throw out. So it's pretty awesome. But one thing that I was thinking about is, we all have some form of the Hydros controller. We get the wave engine stuff here and everything. So, David, I'd actually heard that you had acquired a wave engine back in the past. I was just kind of curious, what were your thoughts on it?
I have not used it. So I was sent one to test. And when I got the first one to test, they didn't have the RF module for it yet.
Okay.
So it only worked with cables, and it was too many cables to hook up with what I was trying to do. Mm-hmm. So I have it here. They did send me an RF chip, but it was since Florida MACNA, and I came home from Florida MACNA, and then like a month later was dealing with my dad in the hospital, and then COVID. And the past year I've been trying to build my own controller. Because even the Hydros isn't capable of what I want to run here.
Right.
So I've been trying to work on building a PLC system, and I'm getting a little bit closer on it. But the last time I talked with the Coral View guys and Carlos about it, I mean, it's capable of some amazing things. I'm just not at the point of converting stuff over when I want to put everything onto a different system.
Right.
So
I know even
tried it. I don't have anything bad to say about it.
Yeah.
I love the concept. I love the guys at Coral View. Even though they owe me a favor this week, it's okay. I still love them.
Yeah.
And I know even with the Apex, Dave has greatly modified some of that stuff to run the extent of system that he's had to run, because you have cable restrictions, you have all kind of specific requirements since you're dealing with sunlight and testing. Testing is a whole different thing that we're not even going to get into. We were talking about testing yesterday, and I'm like old school. Ryan's the new school. Beaves is the new school. I'm really, I don't want to say I'm afraid of
You're not
turning
afraid.
over. I'm not willing to turn
You're slowly converting a little.
I'm not one to turn over the
you.
controls. I like to have control
Come to the dark side.
over the tank. When it comes to testing, and we're gonna have to do the send away. We're gonna have to do the send away and send away the test.
I really
that's gonna be another episode.
I've got some feelers out with ATI. So if anybody's watching that has any connections there, they've been reached out to. We're trying to get them to commit so that we can get that done. We got some other stuff in the works, but that's something that we're going to release a little bit later.
Yeah.
However, I did notice something really funny that you said there, D. You said that David's got an Apex that's heavily modified and everything. Seems to kind of be the running thing with those Apexes.
Well, it's not the modification. It's the
hey! Stop it! Just stop!
Oh,
I'm just saying. Like
I'm
it's just a
running
running
my
joke.
Apex for 7 years. It's running.
It was just a stab about everybody having to work on them. Anyways, all right, guys, we are at an hour and 15 minutes here, so we better wrap this one up. Right?
I want to thank Dave for coming on. I love the fact that he's got those tanks running through modification, everything that he's done inside, outside.
Yeah,
check out his
cool.
channel, O2 Mini Fish. He has a live 24-hour stream on his website, o2minifish.com. If I'm not
check that out.
And for those of you that have asked questions that didn't get answered, shoot an email to david@o2minifish.com with your questions. I will be happy to answer them. I'll be happy to help you with whatever issues you might have, as long as it's not, what is this green stuff on my rocks? I don't answer algae questions, but all the questions that did not get answered, I am happy to answer them after hours. Just send them to me. David,
right.
There you go.
it's the letter O, the number 2, many fish. Don't
Yep.
put a 0 in there because I'm not sure who that guy is.
All right,
Somebody
all
will get
right,
those
everybody.
emails.
So
Yeah, thanks everybody for showing up tonight. Thanks, Dave, for coming on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you for
Awesome
having me.
setup.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay safe.
Yeah.
Don't catch COVID. Be good, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good night, guys.